Hello and welcome to podcast 341 of 5-Star Potential, your weekly Football Manager podcast. I'm Doop, and on this week's pod, I'm joined by Paul, aka Mad FM.
Hello.
And Dave, aka Mr. Chocolado himself, as a party. I was going to put something else in, but it sounded a little bit racist, and I wanted to step away from that. Okay.
Yeah, fair point.
That's Mad's fault. On this week's pod, we will be checking in on our saves. We'll also be having a little chat about retaining players in FM, apparently inspired by a new blog post over at 5starpotential.com. We'll also be heading to France if we make it to our Adventures in Wonder Kidland. We have missed it the last few weeks, gentlemen, so we should try, but we've got some awesome save updates coming your way. So, actually, we might even have a quiz. Depends if Mad's doing it. But before we do that, and before we get all to our niceties, lads, let's have your winners and your losers. Starting with you, Paul. Who is your winner of the week and why is it Manchester United?
It feels weird when he calls me Paul, Dave, doesn't it?
Very,
I don't know.
yeah,
something.
Very.
It's weird. I only normally
weird.
call him Paul after love making.
Yeah, after we roll over. Yeah, it's weird.
Wow.
But anyway,
To be fair, he was pretty Paul after Rainbow Club as well, to be fair.
Oh, boy.
We'll always have sirens, Esther Dip. My winner of the week. I did tweet this because I was a little bit late to the party, and you guys actually did a bit of a pod about this, or at least you had a discussion about it while I wasn't here. Newgen face packs.
Oh, I love that pod. One of my favourite pods, I think.
Most of them are probably good when I'm not there. I just never got around to it, and I guess because I'm not technically that far in my save, because I play so fucking slow, but obviously now I've gone into the 4th season, and we spoke last week about that Newgen I had come through. Alex Almqvist, I can't pronounce. I just kind of was sitting there looking at his face, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, the graphic is crap. And then I had another Newgen from the one before that was that person guy that we looked at, and I thought, you know what? These guys deserve to look good because they're playing good. So I went back. I watched Trek's video, which brings you through downloading the Newgen Manager app. I wasn't sure who to credit with that. Maybe it's been around for a while and I just didn't know.
Whoever does get the credit, and if somebody on Twitter wants to let us know who we credit, I need to talk to them because mine doesn't work and it's annoying me.
Okay. Mine seemed to work first time, which was good news. And then I was downloading the face packs from View from the Touchline and also the FM Rock and Rolla, which is over on the FM Zerkets side, I think. And yeah, Trek's video is really good. I think Renzi's got some stuff up there, so it looks really good in Renzi's skin, which is the one I'm using. But I really enjoyed the realism of the faces. It just adds a new dimension, especially now that I've got Newgens in the first team. So props to all of the guys who've put that together because it's a wicked tool to use. I'm interested to know what you do in the second season. I think you have to.
So you do exactly the same, but you click a button in the Newgen Manager to say that you do not want to override. You just want to.
Yes, I saw. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so it doesn't. Or is it like do not replace? So you don't replace your current faces. But to be perfectly honest, that's only when they go out of the new gen phase. If they're still classed as a new gen, it will still pick them up. Okay. So they're never gonna not be. So it should just work each time. But yeah, mine doesn't even open at the moment. It's upsetting me now. Like when you've had a taste of it and then you get taken away. Yeah. You've had that constantly, that you look at it and you see the lovely faces and it works, and then you go to update it for the new save for Siren Town, and then it goes, oh no, we're not going to open this time, and now I've got to look at these weird ass faces, and it's very upsetting.
Yeah, when you've had it, and then I would find it hard already, even though I've only had it for like a week. I'd find it hard to go back. So I see your point.
Yeah, it's quite tough.
Maybe we should link some of those. We'll link Trek's video at least in the description because it's good. It's really
mate. To be fair, we can link them all because I don't do the linking anymore. So yeah, we'll link that one. We'll link Renzi's. We'll link the skin. We'll link what I had for dinner last night. Like we'll link the lot. Sorry, Dave. Okay. Yeah, I for once agree with you, Mad. Dave, winner of the week, and why is it Dazzling Dave? For his TikTok.
Definitely not Dazzling Dave. My winner of the week, I mentioned to you, just his Art of Football. So, I mean, YouTube viewers will be able to see it better, but Art of Football have just released a Wolves collection, and they sent me out a couple of bits. So,
is that because of our pod, or is that because you're talking Wolves pod?
I think they are big fans of the 5-Star Potential.
Okay, I just wondered, they do like anything that we would be interested in, would we get it, or is it
maybe.
was it just certain people on certain pods that get it? Because apparently not all your mates got one as well, right?
Yeah, but all being well, by the time the pod's out, and touch wood, it happens. Match of the day 2, in the UK, I should be on it. So this pod will be out. The match of the day would be out on the Sunday. And I will be sporting this hoodie. So if you don't watch us on YouTube, you'll be able to see me wearing the hoodie. Fingers crossed on BBC.
How can you do match of the day when the game's not even played yet? You're not. Oh, you're not like being one of the pundits.
No, unfortunately, no. Mark Chapman's. He's there on Sunday. I said if he is ill, they'll give me a call. But
in case you got Dazzling Day's number.
Yeah, brilliant.
Winners of the week for myself. I'm gonna have a little spoiler for you. Is me and my stream and my save at the moment, which we'll touch upon very, very soon. And I'm not going to dive any deeper to that because we've had an exciting few weeks in game and off game. Right, let's jump over to the losers of the week, and I cannot wait for this one because I've just read the script. Maddles, tell us, who are you most unhappy with this week? And can you get tissues?
Many reasons. This Dan Ashworth situation is just driving me a bit insane.
Who's this, mate? This Manchester United's new director of football.
James Ashworth.
Just the guy that's gone to Manchester United. He's left that shitty little club up north and gone down, bit down south, and gone to probably the most exciting project in the UK.
You mean the guy that Man United are going to break the bank to try and sign as a sporting director because they've had such a bad running of their club for 5, 6, 8 years? Is that what you're talking about?
Have you seen any official prices yet?
There's a lot of talk of 20 million. I don't think it's going to be 20 million, but I think it could be between 10 and 20.
Your fans get upset because Jesse Lingard.
I don't have
we
any
wanted
fans.
to charge you for Jesse Lingard. No, Newcastle as a whole. They got really upset with us.
Thank God we didn't loan Jesse Lingard in the end. But anyway, do you know what it is?
Can I say one thing? Before you go any further,
yes.
If you don't follow Jesse Lingard on TikTok, please go and follow Jesse Lingard on TikTok. Or it might be I've seen videos of him with the South Korean chaps in his squad, and he's like making them say like all this like it's quality. Just go watch it. It is so funny, and he's trying to get him to say English slang and stuff like this, and he's having a whale of a time down there. Honestly, he looks like he is having a hell of a time. So don't hate on Jesse, mate.
There'll always be TikTok, Jesse, but not for me. Do you know what it is, Doop? I mean, yes, it's Manchester United, and I don't love the fact that that Newcastle and Man United don't really like each other. I'm just fed up of drama in Newcastle. It's just non-stop. The Tonali business, all the injuries, like all the shit that's been going on. But it's just one of those things where you're like, you tear off the camera or whatever. It's like number of days since we've had drama, and we're back to zero again. And there's just too much going on. I just want us to play some football and enjoy some games.
Sorry, just for the audio listeners, I'm just trying to find the fucks that I give. Can't find them.
No one asked you, so don't worry about it.
Is that a Newcastle podcast, mate? You do that on another night when we can't do this.
I could plug that. I could plug that too, actually.
Yeah. Sorry, David, let it out. David, we'll go swiftly on to yours. Who is your loser of the week?
I don't think I've got a loser.
Amazing.
I think I've had a very positive week. I suppose loser of the week is that I haven't quite played as much FM as I would have wanted to, but I still played a lot. So.
I think you should just tell us what you did for your birthday, Dave, and then we see.
If you want to know that instead, on the Saturday, so my birthday was a Sunday. On the Saturday,
you've not mentioned it. Has it been your birthday recently?
Brilliant.
You've not mentioned it at all.
Wolves won on the Saturday, which was good. Then I went out on the old Bevs, which is nice. Actually, my friend ended up in a bit of a scrap at the end of the night, which I had to break up. I had to be the mediator.
We'll just say, ladies and gentlemen, listeners at home, please drink responsibly, because otherwise you'll turn out and you'll speak funny like Dave.
Yeah, brilliant. And then on the Sunday, I went, which was my actual birthday. I had pancakes in the morning for my breakfast.
You can tell his mum's not there.
Yeah, and I had a Desi mixed grill, which is like an Indian mixed grill, which outside the West Midlands isn't a common thing. So it was very, very nice, and I ended up being very drunk. Even on my birthday, and fell asleep about 8 o'clock. So, bosh.
Wowza. Amazing.
Solid performance.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think how we can bring Football Manager into this somewhere, but you didn't play any, so.
I have played. I mean, I have played.
No,
FM
like
before,
in that day.
Yeah,
It's
I didn't
fine.
play FM on my birthday.
It's
Sorry.
fine. Okay, jump to my loser of the week. Again, I'll be honest. I don't think I have any. I'll be completely open and honest. I am loving the game at the moment. I'm loving the save at the moment, and I'm loving the fact that Mad's crying. So it's just amazing. So yeah, I genuinely don't think there is a negative at the moment. Apart from actually, I do have a slight negative.
Here we go.
Oh boy.
But it's very positive. But it comes. I've just had the architect come over with the plans for the extension, and it looks like it's going to happen very, very soon, which means this, where I am sat, my Aladdin's cave, is going to get knocked down to then build up. And there will be a brand new office, brand new proper office, none of this hard, but it might mean that I've got to move my streaming setup to the bottom of the bed. So we'll see. I might literally have to stream. I might have to get like green screen pillows and just lie down with the camera in my face, because that might be the only space I've got. But I'm sure we'll make it work.
I think it's clear that your wife is officially loser of the week once she hears all this.
That could just be generic every single week, to be fair, man.
Yeah.
She gets to sleep next to with, what literally it's the worst thing she could possibly have. Okay, talking about the worst things possible, let's go to Sweden.
Just worst things in going to Sweden, I'm sure, for all the Swedish listeners out there.
Your save, not actually going to Sweden.
Too,
I'd love to go to Sweden, but your save, Matt. Tell us all about it. Can't wait.
Yes, you know what? Joe was rubbing off on me because I've actually written notes, but my handwriting isn't as nice as Joe's.
It's a bit like when we play snooker. He normally rubs off on me as well.
Brilliant. Oh, that's weekend activity. You keep that to yourself, too. I'll give you an Ike update. Yes, last time we spoke, I had finished 3 seasons. We won the league 3 times in a row, and we had 2 successful runs in the Champions League where we got to the knockout playoff. Basically, we got out of the group stage, league stage, fucking madness. So we basically were in pre-season going ahead of season 4. I did tweet that we had survived another transfer window without selling Jonah. So this is Jonah Kusi Aser, who I always mention every week. And we had loads of bids come in and we rejected them all. And things were okay. Hold that thought, because there's a bit of a change. So we kick off the league in February. We had in our kind of transfer window, which happens between November and February, I had 14 million to spend after all this Champions League business, which was lovely. But I actually had a really good squad, and we haven't been selling anyone. So I didn't really need much. And I did. I had actually tweeted out a profile of a player that we agreed a pre-contract contract with. He's a real player. His name is João Marques. We might even put him on screen, Dave. I can link it to you here. But he got him in from Braga, and Braga is going to be a hotbed. And Joe's talked a lot about Portugal. But for the Swedish league, this guy is ridiculous. He's basically an inside forward. He's right-footed, so he'll start on the right. But I'm kind of going to obviously train him up to be probably cutting in from the left, and he is very, very good for the Swedish league.
Wow.
But obviously his contract follows the Portuguese league, which means his contract wouldn't expire until the end of June, and we're starting our league in February. So knowing that I had him coming in, I didn't really want to buy too many players, because again, I was like, I've got players coming in. So I bought 2 players in the summer. One is a guy who actually played for Ike in real life before, and his name is Joe Mendes. He's a right back. Incidentally, also Braga. He moved from Ike to Braga in real life. So he's come back to Ike for 6 million. I needed a right back, and he's really, really solid. And I do play, and Doop, you'll love this, the inverted fullback. And he's a bit of a unit as well, so he's kind of perfect for the role. And then I bought another guy who was kind of I wanted a right-sided forward, but knowing I had to wait kind of half a season for that Marquez guy, I brought in this Swedish guy from Norgeland, 2.2 million. His name is Aron Stock Riddell. There's a load of Swedish players just floating around Europe. You just have to find them, and they're really good, especially for the league I'm in. And he had really good pace, dribbling, technique, flair off the ball. So I'm just assist machine, hopefully. So yeah, basically we're getting ready to start the season, and what happens? Jonah gets injured for 2 months before we kick the season off. I don't want to say we're very reliant on him, but he is the star player of the save and of the squad.
The only person you ever talk about.
No, never. And then the guy who I would have started before Jonah was old enough to get into the first team is still in the club. His name is Ionis Pitas, but he actually got injured as well for about 6 or 8 weeks. Similar story. So I ended up kind of falling back on a third choice striker who was at Ike since we started the save. I'd never really talked about him. I hadn't even written about him in the blog. He looked kind of average, and he's been on loan for 2 seasons. And his attributes kind of have just gradually climbed to relatively decent. His name is Noel Sargel. Listen to this, lads. I just stuck him up front because I had no choice. He scored 16 goals in 10 games. He got 2 hat-tricks and like 3 braces.
Flipping heck.
And out
Out
of nowhere, and
he still wears braces.
yes. And
great banner.
Unbelievable banter that is. And I am all of a sudden kind of like, right, this guy's come out of nowhere. Maybe it's just a phase. I don't know, because obviously Jonah's out. Because by the time we kind of, like, we won 6 of the first 7, and by the time we're like halfway through the league, we're top of the league by a good kind of 4 or 5 points. It's an interesting league. Sometimes I feel like I'm running away with it, but when I look at the league table, the points difference isn't that much. It's just I win games by quite large margins sometimes. So like, we're by far and away the best team in the league, but the other teams still manage to keep up just with narrower kind of wins and stuff. So we're halfway through the league season, and then so basically in the calendar year we're kind of in like May going into June. And of course what happens, the transfer window is going to open for all the other leagues and the big leagues. And then all of a sudden we started getting more bids in for Jonah. By this point, Jonah's come back and I've put him into the team and he starts scoring a few goals again. And at this point, Jonah's only worth about 6 to 8 million, something like this on paper. And all of a sudden we start getting some bids in, and we're looking at like kind of close to 20 million. So we get bids in from Man United. We had bids in from PSG. And I kind of figured it was actually going to be Man United. They looked to be the most keen. I was kind of turning them away. And initially I was just going to reject everything, as I've been doing all along. Then Jonah kicked off, as you might expect. We've managed to go this far without him getting too upset. He ended up putting in a transfer request. And the rest of the team, you could see the dynamics kind of thing coming into play. So I was like, oh shit. By this point, he's very influential as well. Top scorer 2 seasons in a row. So I'm starting to kind of hit the panic button. So PSG came in with a bid of 30 million euros, and I threw in a 50% of next sale, and they said okay, and then I was like, all right. So if they sell him for anything, I'll get half of it. And obviously this is kind of what I'm hoping would be a long-term save. Then Dortmund came in, and we got it up to 40 million. Now they didn't seem to be biting in the next sale, but they did agree to a 50% of the profit of the next sale. So I'm kind of looking at it going, well, Dortmund are probably more likely to sell him than PSG would be, because who's going to buy him from PSG? Maybe, I don't know, Real Madrid. So we've ended up selling him to Dortmund for 40 million euros cash up front, and 50% of the profit of anything they sell him for. Now, whether they sell him for more than 40, who knows? And yeah, the Jonah era is over, so you'll at least be happy to know that we won't be talking about him anymore.
That's the biggest win.
For a brief period, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. Because
don't tell me you've re-signed him on loan.
No. I did consider it, but because this young guy was going so well, this Noel Sargel, I was like, you know what, let's give him a chance. And I did bring in another striker who's like a 6'4", a Swedish striker as well. His name is Dennis Goose, and he's kind of like, he looks like a bit of a like for like replacement, and he's cost like 4 million or something like that. But I'm going to come back to Jonah in a second. Something else happened, and I did tweet this, and this was actually before the 40 million bid. My bank balance at the start of the season was like 60 million with a 14 million transfer budget. The board just decided to come along out of nowhere and give me 30 million in the budget, in the transfer budget. So they've shifted 30 million from the balance. They were like, we're in a position to give you more money. Here you go. So they gave us 30 million towards my transfer budget. Then we sold Jonah for 40. So I'm in the Swedish league with 70 million.
Flipping.
It's almost borderline ridiculous, but it's all this Champions League money. Like every time you win a game, it's like 2.8 million. We get 14 million just for qualifying. Then if you get out of the group, which we did twice, you're getting another like just ton of money. So
Has your rep
and we've
gone
sold
up
some
at all?
players. The rep has gone up. I'll actually, do you know what? I'll come back to that in a sec. 'Cause I have a screenshot here somewhere of that. But we're sitting there with this ridiculous transfer budget, and I'm like, I go to look and see who we can bring in, and I'm like, maybe we can have some fun, but I'm still quite limited on who will join the Swedish league. So I ended up making 2 signings in the summer. So it's basically the summer window for us, which is mid-season. I wanted a left-sided centre back, so I brought in a player called Mika Marmol. I've actually written about this guy because he's a left-sided centre back. I had an article maybe last year, the year before, on left-sided centre backs. He plays for Las Palmas. They're in the Segunda B, 8.75 million. And then another player that we've talked about before, Joe loves him as well, is Can Uzun, the Turkish guy.
Yes.
And he was still at Nuremberg, also second tier of Germany, and we got him in for 8 million. So even though for me they're probably both both players I know from FM, both really, really good. I would have thought maybe too good for Ike, but because they're both still in the second tier of their respective leagues, they've agreed to come in. So 2 really nice signings, and then we got that Marquez guy come in on the free transfer, and the squad is kind of sick now. So I think now I'm going to go balls out for the Champions League, and this is where we'll come back to Jonah, because we got the Champions League fixtures. So you get 8 fixtures. Who do you think we got in the Champions League?
Borussia
Dortmund. We haven't played them yet, actually. So as it stands, I've played 1 game. We played Young Boys. We actually lost 4-2 at home, which is a bit disappointing. But we have Roma at home. We have Dortmund away. We have Nice, Doop's favourite team, Nice away. Union Berlin are in there. Benfica are in there. And then we've got Arsenal at home at the end of it. So we'll see how that goes. But we do have what's now the Jonah Derby, Ike against Dortmund. So that's a nice bit of narrative. Yeah, so basically, just to bring it to an end then, currently top of the league, we've 20 games played. Just obviously kicking off those Champions League fixtures. There's 10 more games left in the league, and then we'll kind of round out the Champions League fixtures. And Doop, you asked me there about the rankings.
Yeah, you're right.
So the last time I did an update on this, we moved up like 150 places or something. We moved up another 44 places, so we're now 63rd in the European club rankings. That was I got an inbox notification of that, so I screenshotted that. So that's again pretty good, because we would.
How's the league? How's the league rankings doing in regards to European?
Because we're in the middle of the season, I assume it hasn't changed. I'll have to go and have another look. It had moved from 24th to 20th, I think, across the 3 seasons. Yeah. Maybe 23rd to 20th. It was 3 or 4 places, which is not bad. But it's still below the championship. Do you know what I mean? So that's just kind of where we are.
I hate to be that guy. I don't always mean to shit on you, because I mean you paid me once for me to do that, and you haven't paid me again. So
all on good time.
What is the end goal here? Because you've got all that money in the bank. You can't buy the players you need to progress extra in the league, in the Champions League. Are you not better off going in the Europa League and trying to win that, and maybe give it a one last hoo-ha? Because you're never going to win the Champions League. Or are you just kind of thinking, actually, now Jonah's gone, it's time. He's not going to win the Champions League from a league that is ranked 20th in Europe.
Why can't he?
He might.
There's no way. I'll bet. What do you want to have a bet? We'll have a bet.
No, okay. Listen, the last time somebody did
let
this
him bet.
I
want him to bet. I have nothing to lose.
Curtie said that about the penalty, and I did it. No,
yeah, but that's different. The penalty's different because you can move. I'll tell you this now. I bet you Simon Test of Town lift the Champions League trophy quicker than your team lift the Champions League trophy.
That's a good bet.
That makes even less sense. Like
why? We got more chance of winning a Champions League trophy.
So
obviously not right this second.
In save, not in real life.
In my save, yeah, not in real life. Yeah. So
but you think that you'll win it before I'll win it in FM?
No. I think Simon Test of Town will win it early, before you win it with Ike.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, there's no way you're winning it with Ike.
No chances of happening.
There's no way.
So let me throw this at you, Doop. Yeah, right, last year, or in the last 2 seasons, I'll call out some results I've had in the Champions League with a lesser squad than I have now. Beat Man United 2-1 in the group stages. They
didn't have Dan Ashworth at the time.
We beat Milan 1-0. There's another one. AC Milan. Beat Leverkusen 5-0 in the Champions League. I've beaten. There's another one there. Inter Milan. No, not Inter Milan. I think they beat us. Let me go back to it. Like, I think we can progress further than I have so far.
Okay.
And then you suddenly
what's the furthest you got?
I've not yet got to the last 16.
Okay.
I'm just before.
My argument is this, right? And this is probably and I don't mean any disrespect here at all.
No, it's
like,
good.
Seriously, no disrespect, right? But you're shit at no joking. Joe's done 9 seasons at Flaminical. And I don't want to be a spoiler because he's not been on the pod yet, but he has not won one in the 5th best ranking league in Europe, right? Let's call it the 6th because that's where it is when the game loads up. He has had the players. He's done well. He's won the league a couple of times. Again, I don't want to spoil his save. They also have a chap called Friday Night FM in charge of that team.
Which helps, yes.
He's cracked through the seasons. How many seasons are you in now? Just your
I'm in
season?
My 4th season.
Yeah. I'm in my 3rd. I started to save 3 weeks ago, for a month ago. I've got more chance of getting through the games. You know, you might
play
only
a lot
get
more than I do.
You might only get 6 seasons out of this. You reckon you're going to win in the next 2 seasons? I've got the ability to kind of I don't want to spoil my save.
I have him,
but
Dave. I have him.
I've got a few promotions to go. Yes, we're a long way away from it. But once we get into that Premier League, we're then going to be earning a hell of a lot of money for me to build upon a structure. I'm probably 25 seasons away from winning the Champions League.
Mad. I'm backing you all the way, mate. I think you can.
Well, I can tell you this much.
I
had a.
There's something that changes all this.
Go on.
There's something. No. I'm going to retract the statement.
Can't retract the statement. It's on the internet
listen.
now.
No. That's the problem. You don't play it on the internet. You could cheat. I can't cheat.
Oh my word!
Why would I cheat? Why would I cheat at this game? Why would I spend so many hours in a game?
If you stream it, I will genuinely. We'll have a bet on it, but.
Okay, let's do this.
Who knows he's going to lose, man? That's why.
I'm not going to lose.
He does.
No, I'm not.
100%. Let's put it this way. The money is getting ridiculous. So I think that's if I keep banking the money I'm banking.
Doesn't matter with the money. If you can't get the players,
this will come into it.
You will though. If you get money,
I think I will.
Want it.
Right. I'm getting players that are good enough for Champions League at the right time. But let me throw something else at you, Doop.
Hit me.
I do play quite slow,
but
you and I know a fact that I'm going to be having a little break from work because I'm actually finishing up my job in a few weeks. Yeah. Man's going to have a bit more spare time on his hands, where he's A, going to play a lot more FM than usual, and B, potentially going to stream a lot more FM than usual.
Okay.
And now I've never been so motivated to win a competition in my life.
No. He's
come for
Dave.
me, Dave.
There it is, mate.
There it is.
A couple of weeks ago when we talked about Ike and we talked about the save, Mad was pretty sure that actually it's just going to give it up. It's just going to... He was talking about a new save for the update, weren't you, Mad? Yeah.
Oh, we talked about like how long this will last.
Yeah. And you
obviously
were not...
the domestic is very easy.
Correct. And you were not that confident it was going to last long. All I've done there, Dave, is I just relit that fire, baby. Yeah, he's probably
just wait.
Yeah,
no,
but look how determined he is now. Look how
Dave, he thinks Siren are going to win the Champions League before. I mean, come on.
Why have I got to be the referee here?
Dave, between me and you, mate, I don't. It's not going to happen, right? But what's it done?
I still think you will. I think you still will win the Champions League with Siren. I think you will win it.
He is now interested in his save again. He was switched off. Jonah's gone. Oh, I'm so sad.
I've got to say, man, if you continue signing players as good as that João Marquez, you've got every chance.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just
Dave
whether you can do it, how quickly you can do it. We'll see. And then when you win it, I want you to thank me for relighting that fire for you, baby.
I'm just going to remember this episode is where it happened, where you claimed.
But we haven't put a bet on it, so there's nothing we're betting because you haven't actually openly said. You haven't challenged me.
Do you know what I'll do, Dude? When I win the Champions League, I'm going to tweet out. I'm going to text Sophie and I'm going to say, "Wake the fucking kids to witness greatness, etc."
You ain't got kids, mate, so it doesn't really work.
Shit, yeah, okay.
You need to kind of actually have. Yeah, maybe. I mean, if you want to get a bang tweet, I'll write it for you. How about that? Right. Hey, my job here is done. You're back in. You're interested. Okay.
Love you too, Dude.
David, talk to us about where the fuck are you?
Yeah, we're still in Brazil. So very quick summary for if anyone missed last week's pod. won the Champions League in Africa with Super Sport. We joined Red Bull Bragantino, who were in the Libertadores at the time. But unfortunately, we lost out in the quarterfinal. So just had the league to focus on. I think I had a few league games left on last week's pod. And had a pretty strong end to the season. Finished second overall, which is between where they were when I joined the club. So finished second in the end, 8 points behind Palmeiras, who were just very, very strong. But we beat them towards the end of the season. So the record that I had at the end of last season convinced me enough that we can make a real go of it this campaign. So in terms of transfers, I was pretty happy with the squad, to be honest. I knew there was going to be offers coming in for players. So if you remember last week, I spoke about Brenner, who had really kicked on, the Brazilian striker, John Kennedy, who we had as well. We also had Christian Pavon, who performed quite well. But there was a lot of interest in players from teams in Saudi Arabia, who I actually hadn't had much dealings with, even in the wall save at the start of the year. And in South Africa, I had very few Saudi Arabian clubs interested in the players, but I did have sales in the end, which I'll talk about in a second. But in terms of players coming in, big ones, Lucas Paquetá from West Ham was one that I had my eye on even last season. I tried to get him on loan, but his wages were astronomical. West Ham didn't want to let him go. And I noticed he had 6 months left on his deal. So I looked at these. I offered him a contract. He wanted 120 grand, which is about double what my highest earner had. But even though he's 32, technically, mentally, and still even physically, unbelievable. For like top level in Brazilian league player. So I thought, screw it, let's get him in. He agreed the new contract to join at the end of the season. For some reason, it didn't come up with a thing where it says buy now to try and buy him out of his contract early. I left it a few days and went on his profile and it came up on the under transfer. West Ham wanted 2 million. I thought, mate, happy days. To get him 6 months early, I had more than enough in my transfer budget. Bring him in and he fits perfectly into the team. Quite a few new gens I've brought in. A lad called Luis Pinheiro, 6'5", centre half, can play defensive midfield as well. Brought him in for Cruzeiro, who'd just been relegated for 4 million. One of the players that I like, and if I remember, I'll put him on the screen here, Paraguayan forward called Diego Moreno. I think I posted this in our chat a few days ago. 21 years old, bought for £1.2 million, but as an advanced forward, got 16 finishing, 17 flair, 17 technique, but also set piece taker, which I haven't really had even in Africa. That was my one thing, a dedicated penalty taker or a dedicated free kick taker. But with Moreno, so in 11 games so far, 9 starts, 2 off the bench, he scored 8 goals. 6 of those are penalties. So that's, I've relied on him a lot to, I'll say that, no, 5 are penalties. Sorry, I'm doing him in injustice there. So 5 of them are penalties, but still a very, very good player. Fabinho, ex-Liverpool player. So, bearing in mind, we are quite far into the save. He is 36 now. He was playing for Porto at the time. Had quite an interesting career after, obviously, he joined Al Ittihad in real life. He joined Manchester United on a free, strangely. Porto would sign him for 2.7 million. And again, his contract was running out of Porto, but he was on about 120 grand there. And I thought, if I try and sign him, he's going to want astronomical wages. Offered him a contract. He only wanted 25 grand a week. So again, technically and mentally fantastic. Physically, he's quite poor now. But I thought as a squad player, because I lost one of my defensive midfielders, I'll bring him in. And I think he's going to retire halfway through the season. But if he's doing okay, I'm going to try and get him to reconsider his retirement, try and keep him till the end of the campaign anyway. Oscar Pereira, he's a player for Inter Milan, 300k. Again, quite a good player, still very young. He'll be in everybody's games as well. I think he starts in Colombia for Atletico Nacional. So good young winger there. Got him for 300k because his contract was running out. And signed a couple of other players as well. Signed a young lad from South Africa who played for Super Sport. So brought him in just to bolster the team as well. In terms of outs, a couple of players. Jadsom, who was my defensive midfielder, really good player. His release clause was triggered by a team in South Africa. Christian Pavon, I also let go. Look, he was very, very good for me and still could definitely do a job, but he was on like 65 grand a week and he was 34. In hindsight, I probably should have kept him because physically he was still more than good enough to do a job for me in Brazil. And for some reason, and I spoke to someone about this earlier when I was talking about the game, I don't know why, but in my head, I'm fixated on looking after the club's finances. When in reality, I should just be blowing my budget or rejecting offers and creating the strongest team possible. If I knew I was going to stay at Bragantino for 5 or 6 years, then I get it. Yeah, let Ocampos go, bring in the next generation. So in hindsight, I probably should have kept him. But even in my transfers, you look at it, the average age of the transfers, if you take out Paqueta and Fabinho, the average age is like 21, 22. So part of me is still trying to look after the squad, which I suppose isn't a bad thing. But we lost out on a couple of players. But like I mentioned last week, it's quite a slow process in Brazil because you start off the season with what they call the Sao Paulo state, which is almost like a mini league with all the teams in Sao Paulo. And that's almost your pre-season. You don't have any friendlies. You just have that to get match sharpness and so on. And then we go on to the league. I've started the Copa Libertadores group stages as well, where looking very, very comfortable in that right now. I'll get through the group with ease. When the Sao Paulo state, I've won every single game so far. Palmeiras were my closest rival. They'd won every game, but then lost quite recently. So I've got one more game in that against the team that are like halfway down the table. So that should be a straightforward win. And we should win the Sao Paulo state, which would be a nice start to the season. So 14 games so far this campaign, won every single match quite comfortably as well. Got a really nice squad depth coming through. And by this time next week on the pod, I'm hoping that we'll have a really, really decent chunk of the season gone. I haven't played it as much at work as I would have wanted to this week. There's probably people listening here. Yeah. People listening saying, why is he playing it at work? But I have it on my little SD card and I forgot to take it the last few days. But
I have to be honest, Dave. It's been me that's been doing those little prank calls to keep you off the game as well. You know,
that's what it is, mate.
Sorry, man.
Yeah. So yeah, it's looking good. I think we've almost finished our next coaching badge as well. My win percentage as a manager is 73%. You know, we're smashing through it at the moment. It's just getting the time to, Brazil is a very long process, a long season, but fingers crossed we're getting there and could try and get another one ticked off within the next week or two.
Yeah, good work. That Brazil one would be really good to tick off. I've done my Brazilian leg or my South American leg of the Champions League.
Yeah, I think now, like I said, I felt we could compete with some of the best teams and now strengthen the team how I want to as well. It'll be a Brazilian team that wins it, definitely, because we're way, way stronger than the Argentinian teams at the moment. And it's just the likes of Palmeiras are a good team. So if we can keep on top of them, we'll be sound.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine. To be fair, mine's gone a little bit AWOD. Spent a bit of time in Mexico with Chivas and after winning the Brazilian one and realized I had all this money and could only sign Mexican players and literally didn't have the reputation as a good club. So be careful where you go up there, mate. When you go to Mexico or North America, I think Mexico is the way to go, but just be careful which club you go to. I'm actually down in South Africa now with Orlando Pirates, Dave. So, yeah.
Very quickly as well, an update on Robert Ramsack, if you remember, the German guy that thought Bragantino was a shithole. He didn't join us. He stayed. I think he's actually doing all right. I had a quick check to see if I can maybe get in to sign, but he's come off the bench twice in the Bundesliga and scored 3 goals. So he's actually doing okay there. So fair play to him.
Well. Yeah, but that'd be really good for you, Dave. Get that one done because that can be a slog. That's a hell of a season, isn't it?
If I can do it in my first full season, I'll be satisfied. I've barely looked at other jobs because I thought there's no point. I've built such a strong team already here that, crack on. But our Libertadores group is shit. So we'll get through that easy. And then obviously we go on to the next stage.
You obviously can probably remember, but don't forget all the knockout games are legged until the final. The final is actually a single leg game. Which I actually thought it was.
Is it one leg, the final?
Yeah, the final's a single leg. I think I went 3-2 up. Was it that one? Or was it? Yeah, it's a single leg, isn't it?
Let me just double check just in case.
Oh, actually, it might not be. No, the Asian one's was it the Asian one that's a single leg? One of them is a single leg.
Final. Number of teams, 2. Yeah, I think it is just one leg.
Yeah, so I thought it was 2 legs because all the knockout games are 2 legged, and I'm sure there are a couple of 2 legged finals.
There is Africa's 2 legs.
Yeah, Africa, that's
Africa's 2 legs as well.
And I remember basically going 3-2 up, and just going. It was 2-2. I made mine. I made it a draw, and I just tried to hold the team, trying to just don't push too much forward. We'll get them in the next leg. we went and scored, and then realised, oh shit, actually we've won the cup. So by a big jamminess there. But yeah, no, Dave, awesome. You're doing really well. It's good to see you've actually now you broke the duck. You're flying, mate. So it's good to see.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
We'll hear about another
that
one
open
soon.
top bus tour will come along soon. No,
Exactly. Yeah. I have to do a joint one.
Yeah, what at the end of next year. So let's go to probably the most likely team that's going to win a Champions League this year. No, Siren. We spoke about Siren Sister Town recently. Talked about updated you guys on the FA Cup. Big run in the FA Cup. Turned out that we actually turned £500,000 over just in that FA Cup run, which for a club of my size is mental. When you look at, for example, just the expenditure of like the total expenditure of last season is close to about that is mental, right? Last season was £721,000 the expenditure total, everything the club had to pay, and we earned like 500 grand of that just on the FA Cup run. Meant that
it's crazy, really. Like even thinking about real, when you see teams in real life, I never think about it in terms of finances. You think, oh, that must be great fun because they're going to get a big team come to their ground or whatever.
Yeah,
that revenue is crazy.
Yeah. It is mental. So yeah, it basically the first season we broke pretty much even, and then like I said, this year we turned over 1.4 million, which is just absolutely nutty. So yeah, it's really good, really good. But the rest of the season, the main thing now is we're out of the cups because we did actually lose to Blow Spartans on penalties in the FA Trophy 4th round. The focus was now getting promoted. We had 15 games to play, and it was very tight at the top. However, we didn't lose another game until we got the day that we actually had the opportunity to be promoted. We drew a couple, don't get me wrong, but we did push through, and thankfully we won our division, which meant that we went up as winners by 9 points at the end. 109 goals scored, only 42 conceded. We only lost 2 games all season. A second game that we lost was in fact our last game. We played Bishop's Cleeve, where we just played all our wonder kids, all our new gens that come through, just to see, kind of make a bit of an assessment of who we wanted next season. And that's kind of where we see ourselves at the start of this week. We'd kind of picked up the save in that 25-26 season and tried to build a squad, because at the end of it, we had 4 players from last year's squad stay, which was one of them being Dylan Morgan, who's our left winger, who's probably one of our standout players last year. 8 goals, 10 assists in 23 games. He was very good. And hopefully we're quite grateful that he will stay on. So we kept him. Sandro Da Costa, I think we mentioned him. He was massive in the Yeovil game, not the Yeovil game, the Rotherham game. He was the chap that put the brace in to get us the win. And he's only on 65 quid a week. So we managed to keep him for one more season. And then the big one really was Mundo Bridge, who a lot of people have come in the stream and said, how have you got him? Because in their saves, they've had him at like League 1, League 2. He's 24 years of age. He's 6'2", left-footed, and he has 20 determination. And at my level, he's a world beater. And I think obviously we only at this level, because they're not professionals, they're all semi-pro. They all sign on a semi-pro contract. We might be able to squeak a 2-year deal out of them, but mostly everyone's like a 10-month deal, and they all kind of, as soon as the season finishes, that's it. I'm guessing because during the shutdown, nobody wants to pay players the money. So it's a bit difficult, really. But he's very good. And hopefully, like I said, with the fact that he will stay, that's really good. And then the last one was a chap called Jagger Kane, who just had bangers. He only scored 5 goals for us last season. And with long shots of 5, every goal he scored was a banger. So I was really pleased to keep him just for the banger, right? And then we went out and we just searched the whole of the league, trying to find players to bring in, needing strikers. Ben Whitehead, the chap that scored an absolute hatful last season, didn't want to know. It's really strange. He's not got a club and he still will not sign for us. Last season, he scored 35 goals in 34 league appearances. He scored 46 goals in all competitions. He played 48 games. It's just insane.
Even though you've got promoted,
even though we got promoted, yeah. He said he's too big for the club. he wants to go and play somewhere else. But we're like,
that might change. If nobody signs him, that might change. So maybe
I'll be honest.
Pursuit.
I made he will not. We've tried trialing him, we've tried signing him, he just will not. Completely red, will not talk to us, will not come on trial, will not nothing. But everything screams to me that he'll retire. Because you do find that sometimes that these guys just retire. So we went out, we found a load of players that we fancied, left backs, right backs, centre backs, all of the works, right? And the first round of players, we could not get anywhere near. I mean, we only had 4 players in the squad, right? And we couldn't get anywhere near. Players that we would expect to want 200-300 quid a week, want 1,200 quid, 1,300 quid. And our wage budget is about $7,000 a week, which is very high in this league. So we are kind of predicted that we should do well. So I started bringing a couple of the cheaper chaps in, and we kind of brought a right back and a left back who would be our backups rather than our starters, and a bit similar with our defenders as well and our strikers. That was kind of how we went about it. I bought the players, but knowing that they wouldn't be our starters. And then what we saw, once we started filling the squad up, when we started rising up the season preview, because we went from, there's 22 teams in our league, and we were ranked 20th, most likely to win, right? 20th out of the 22. We signed a few players and these backup players that were not going to be our starters. We started creeping up, 14th, 12th, 10th. We got to 10th, and like it was like a switch had flicked. We offered a chap called Ashley Clark a contract a week ago. And he wanted 1,300 quid. Didn't sign him. He was still on trial. We then went and offered him another contract, 170 quid a week.
What?
The jump was huge. Now, I'm assuming it was because he wasn't overly impressed with the project. He didn't think that we were going to build a good enough squad, and he's kind of gone, well, if they want me, they're going to have to pay me for the year, right? I'll take a year out and I get paid a fortune. And we brought him along. Unfortunately, he did get injured. He has come back and he's done awesome since then, but we've then filled the squad out with starters, and we've got some really good guys. We've got some defenders that are 6'5", 6'6". We've got some midfielders as well that are just huge, big guys. And we are still a couple players short. We still have about 600 quid a week to spend, but we're still a couple of players short. So we kind of went into the start of the season, and I kind of said to the chat, like, look, we're going to lose a lot of August's games. Our season starts on the 2nd of August, and in August alone, right, we had played 8 league games and 1 FA Cup game. So we played 9 games in August alone, Saturday, Tuesday, every single week. We've just come out of a really busy pre-season because, again, we're trying to earn the money. We're trying to get these people through the door. We had a big home tie against Portsmouth, League One Portsmouth. We had a big home tie against Swindon Town, League One Swindon Town. Trying to get the money through the door. You know, we sell out. If we sell out, we earn about 50 grand. So it's really good for us. And then we opened the season, and the first game of the season, our backup striker, because again, a lot of these players are backups. A lot of these players have only, like our first 11, our favorite 11, have only played 2 or 3 games because they've only just signed for us, right? Our backup striker scored a penalty in the 43rd minute, and we win the opening game of the season. And we're like, okay, well, we've won one, you know, fine, happy days. Next up, we played another team at home, and we got beat by them. And we're thinking, okay, this is it. We're going to play some games now. We're going to get beat. We know it. We just take it on the chins, and then we'll go in later down the line, and we'll claw as much back as we can. 39 points is our target. That's what was safe last year. That's all we want to be. And the more and more players we signed, the higher up the season preview we kind of got to. And I think the highest we got to was 3rd, just before the start of today's stream. We come into today's stream, and we have not lost a game. We've won every single game. We've signed a couple more players, and we've gone to predicted champions. We are predicted to win the league. Yeah. Cheers for watching, Mad. We are predicted to become league winners, right? And it's looking good. We got 3 or 4 players in the media 11 loving us. Played an FA Cup first qualifying round against Hungerford. We beat them, and things are looking up. We also played the second favorite team to go up, and we played them at home, and we beat them 2-0. We beat Nuneaton Borough, who unfortunately, obviously in real life, have actually looked like they're folding. I don't know, have they announced that they folded or not? It was being talked that they were going to. But again, really good team, right? I mean, they've been up as high as the Vanarama National. So it's going to be a tough game. Beat them 5-0 away from home. We are flying. We're producing really good play. We're playing nice football, and all we're doing is just playing the flat 4-4-2, and just have the centre mids dropped back as DM supports, and then the two wingers are pushed on as advanced inside forward attacks. We are playing quite a lot of player instructions for this level, I'll be honest, but mainly it is just focusing on being quick when we got the ball and trying to overload on the attack, because we've kind of got those 4 strikers up front. There might be the odd game where we're trying to eke out a result. We might drop the winger back. We might drop the 2 inside forwards, back into winger roles. One of the strikers might drop as a centre mid, for example. Or if we're trying to push for a game, the 2 centre mids will push up. The wing backs push up, and we really do go for a game. But yeah, everything seems to be very good. We are struggling a few injuries. We've still not started our favourite 2 strikers yet. Ashley Clark, like I said, just come back from injury, and he's got 2 in 2. Which is superb. But we do have another chap who is awesome, Khalil Green. We picked him up from Colchester, ex-Arsenal, ex-Southampton player, who was on the books there and there. And he started the season on fire, and he got injured. He did, I can't remember, like sprained knee ligaments. Was out for like 8 weeks or so. So we got a couple more weeks until he's back. But when he's back, when he's firing, we should be good. We've probably got 14, 15 good players, and then the drop off is pretty steep. But I think we'll be okay. I have promised chat that if we get promoted this season, we will do a 24-hour stream. But I kind of said that when we were ranked 20th favorite to go up. Now we're kind of ranked number 1. It could be risky. My aim for the season is still to stay up. My aim for the season is to get to that 3rd round of the FA Cup again. I don't think we will. That was a bit of a fluke last season. Yes, we have a better squad now, but we were announced as the overachievers in the cup. You get the little news article. We were ranked in the whole of the FA Cup as the overachievers, so that was always quite nice. But we have just been drawn against, in the second qualifying round, Havant and Waterlooville. Don't know if you remember, they actually played Liverpool back in the day. Isn't that where Xavi Alonso scored from the halfway line there or something? Was that game? Can't remember.
He did that against Newcastle,
Yeah. That was before Dan Ashworth as well. You didn't cry about that, did you?
Probably did.
But yeah, that's pretty much. Like I said, we've got 22 teams in the league this year, so it's a big old division. 4 teams go down, 2 go up, and one of them's via a playoff, and that will be to Vanarama National North or South. So it's risky, really risky.
The only question I was going to ask you, Doop, was about dynamics. And I don't know if it's a huge deal, it should be a big deal at any level. I often find that if I go from one season to the next and I brought in like 7 players, that I feel like the dynamics take a hit because it's just so much change, especially if they're in the first team. When you're having basically what feels like a new squad every season, at least for the first few, does it matter? Maybe it doesn't matter. Or do you do anything consciously to address dynamics in the squad when they're all that change?
No. What I tried to do is keep the captain from last year. So if I've got to pick a captain, it's going to normally be somebody from the year before. Kind of in my eyes, I like to think that they kind of take the club values through. But if you look at my dynamics, my pyramid is very bottom heavy, right? I've got a lot of players as other players. And I've got a few of the influential players, which are more of the experienced players that played for us last year. And then I have one highly influential player, and I've got no team leaders. And that highly influential player is my captain. It just seems to be gelling. I don't really want to kind of risk it too much, but I don't know whether because it's a results business. I don't know because, they are just happy. The morale was great. We've just been promoted. I said to them, all I want to do is survive. 9 games into the season, we're top by 4 points already, and we got a game in hand on second. It's mental. I did not expect this, but, we are building. We do have the second highest amount of wage per year in the league. But again, that's probably down to the fact that we've had that opportunity to spend the money from the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Doesn't really mean a huge amount though. St Albans City are top by 20 more grand than us a year, and they're currently sat 8th. In third is How's Owen, not close to you, Dave. They've got 10 grand less than us they spend a year, and they're sat 20th. So it's not always kind of he who spends the most wins. It's kind of he who spends it the wisest, and I think we spent it very wise at the moment. So yeah, fingers crossed. Maybe next week's pod, we should be good. If you are listening to this on release day or the day after release day, I'm actually streaming this save live over at twitch.tv/Doop 10 till 2 in the day, Monday and Tuesday. A bit of a change up with work, and I'm going to be there on that. So if you want to kind of have a little session, have a little chat, and have a little look at some of these players we've mentioned, and we can dive into it a bit deeper, come and have a little look.
Nice.
Right. Sorry. I tell you what, I speak about it a lot on my stream that genuinely we talk about legendary saves that I've done. Like the Palermo save, the GOAT challenge, all this stuff that we've done online. I actually think this is gonna be the best one we've ever done. I honestly think just loving it. I'm really enjoying it, and
the database is holding up as well, right?
Fuck yeah, I knew somebody had to mention it. Yeah, touch wood. Touch wood. The link for that will be in the description, won't it, Dave? The one thing I will say is, like, just to round it off, like, it's such a challenge. I recommend anyone dropping down to that sort of level. Mad's pretty much doing it in his because his league's shit. But like, you just drop down so low, you don't know anyone. And like, I don't have a scouting team I can just send out and look for scouts. We're playing with the attributes mask on. I can't see it, which is on. I'm having to trial every free agent. I can't get loans in unless I want to just take a punt on them, because I can't scout them because I haven't got scouts to scout them because they're doing the match day stuff, and I haven't got the ability to trial those players because they're at a club, so I can't trial them. So it's so tricky, and some of them you just take a punt. You have a little look, and you look at the variant scale, and they've Notts County want them, and they're in the National South or they're in the National League. If they want them, he's going to be good. We'll just take a punt and try and get him. So yeah, we'll see. Okay, I referenced it at the start of the pod. We'll probably reference it now. Maybe we'll do the Wonder Kid next week.
It's Joe's Wonder Kid for that he
Maybe
really
we'll hold
wanted,
off just for Joe. I've just realised what the time is. Dave, you got time for a quick one?
We've got a quick quiz, yeah.
Yeah, let's chuck a quiz in because people like the quiz. I don't know why. And then we'll round it off and we'll send you on your way.
So it is 5 questions each, both based on your football clubs this season. So hopefully
Dan Ashworth. Oh shit.
It should be no Dan Ashworth questions, don't worry. So Mad will have 5 questions on Newcastle. Duke will have 5 questions on Manchester United, both about the 23-24 season so far. And we'll go 1-1-1-1. Anyone wants to start?
Can it go on offer for like an away 2 points or something?
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah.
Actually, no, I'll probably get them wrong in fairness.
Yeah. I mean, I got a piece of paper in my hand. Mad, I'll let you guess which hand it's in, and you can choose whether you want to go first or second.
I think he likes his. I think he likes his left hand on this occasion.
He would have said his knob. I don't know. It was his left hand.
Correct. Mad, do you want to go first or second?
1 point. It's like penalty shootout. Oh, I have to go first. Pressure on Doop.
Okay,
we're doing the ABBA system.
Mad, who scored Newcastle United's first Premier League goal of the season?
Oh my God, I was at the game.
Oh,
I was at the game.
Dave was at ours.
We scored 5 goals in that game.
Oh, against Villa, wasn't it?
Oh, it was Sandro Tonali.
Correct. Yeah.
I gave out that one.
I wonder what the odds were on that, on him scoring first.
Huh? I bet he knows.
It was great.
Yeah. Doop, who was sent off for Manchester United in their second group game in the UEFA Champions League?
Oh, Rashford.
Rashford.
Marcus Rashford got sent off. No, that was against Copenhagen. No, it was. Yeah, that was later. So this would have been Munich, Galatasaray.
So yeah, I mean, I'll
hang on.
Yeah, the team.
You can take my first answer if you want.
No, the team's Galatasaray.
and that's all at home, and that was Casemiro.
Correct. Yeah.
Sorry, Rashford did get sent off, but that was
he did. I've just seen it was later on. Mad.
Very kind. Very kind.
Question two.
We'll let it go.
Newcastle unfortunately lost out and were knocked out of the Champions League. But who scored their goal in their final group stage game against AC Milan?
I was at that game as well. The only 2 games of the season I've been at. That was Joelinton.
It was Joelinton. 2 for 2 for Maddles.
Great goal.
Doop. Which team did Manchester United beat in the 3rd round of the FA Cup?
Oh. What round are we now? We're the 4th round. We just
5th round. 5th round next week. So it's not the team you just beat.
So we beat Newport and we beat Wigan. So it's Wigan away.
Wigan, correct. It was Wigan.
Sorry, I had to try and work back.
No, that's right.
Just weird me getting your questions right.
Mad. Which squad number does Alexander Isak wear for Newcastle United? I'm all for squad numbers, by the way.
I nearly had a moment there.
Ask me anything about Wolfsburg.
I'm pretty sure it's 14.
It is 1 and 4, 14.
Well,
spoilers, but Luke Littler's just lost. Sorry if you've not watched it yet, chat. No, in the semis.
Who scored, Doop, question 3, who scored Manchester United's opening goal in their 4-3 win over Wolves at Molineux recently?
Dublin, baby. Rashford.
It was Marcus Rashford. Lovely goal, edge of the area.
Couple of minutes in. That's what the alternative MUFC call him, isn't it?
Mad question 4. What was the score between Liverpool and Newcastle on New Year's Day at Anfield?
Oh shit! I'm getting confused with the
home ones where you got sent off, wasn't it? With that thing you got sent off.
Yeah.
It wasn't that one.
It was away, and it was New Year's Day.
They beat us 2-1 in the first one. Oh my gosh!
Have we stumbled him?
It might have stumbled me here. Fuck!
Can I steal it?
It was Liverpool away.
I remember having a very angry voice note from my cousin about this game. He's a Newcastle fan, by the way. Doop.
Cast your mind back to Christmas and New Year. What were you doing New Year's Day?
We had this really tough run of games.
I'm giving you the team. Doop's gagging for it.
I don't know. I do know the result.
Was it 2-0?
Yeah.
2-0?
Good guess. No, can I have it, please, mate?
Go on, Doop.
It was big. It was either.
I'm blanking here.
I think it's 4-2 Liverpool.
It was 4-2 Liverpool. It was 4-2 Liverpool.
I couldn't get my head away from the fucking first game of the season.
The first game was a tough one, but yeah.
Oh, I've had a mare there.
You got smashed then.
Question 4 for Doop. What number does Kobe Mainu wear for Manchester United?
Mate, can I just be honest with you here? Yeah. I have to admit this. I've just bought a shirt for Oscar. 37.
Oh my God.
I literally bought a shirt for him the other day.
I didn't know that, man. I'm sorry.
And he wanted Kobe Mainu on the back.
Sorry.
Right. Mad, final question for you. You got to get this for any chance. Newcastle lost out in the EFL Cup quarter final against Chelsea on penalties. Can you name a player who missed a penalty for Newcastle?
Sadly, yes.
Oh.
He was having a mare of a time. At the time, it was Kieran Trippier.
We recorded a pod straight after that game, didn't we?
Yes. I remember I kept you waiting, watching it, and then I was in terrible form.
Can you remember the other player that missed?
Who else missed?
Fringe player.
Matt Ritchie? No.
It was Matt
Ritchie?
Yeah, it was
Matt Ritchie.
Your saviour this week.
Final question to wrap it up. Who scored Manchester United's first Premier League goal of the season?
Petula.
Depends.
Who played you first?
Yeah.
He's already helped you with that Rashford one when you guessed Rashford and not Casemiro. So I don't think he should be giving you help on this one to win it.
I want to say somebody, and I think it's ridiculous, but I'm pretty sure it.
Dominant performance from Wolves. Robbed of anything. Robbed of a penalty at the end, if we remember.
Varane.
Varane.
Does it go on offer?
Varane.
It can go on offer if you want to shout, man, but it is Raphael Varane, so Doop is correct.
No.
Varane.
What are you going to say, man?
I was just going to make it up. I was going to be like Bruno or something.
Duke wins, 5-4, 6-4 if you count his one that he got right.
I don't want that. I don't
5-4 if you count 5-4 if you count that he gets Rashford and not Casemiro. But
what was the tie break then, Dave? Because if he's going to get upset.
All right, if you want a tie break, I've got.
Tie break. No, go on. I don't want to win on a technicality. I never win quizzes anymore, so I don't want to win on a technicality.
All right, give me a second. I've got a tie
I'm
break.
also very grateful that you didn't mention the 3 games that I've been to, where we lost 3-0, 1-0, and 3-0. So I appreciate that, Dave.
There's something about Man United in February, Doop, isn't there? That they have a really good record in February, like every year. Apparently, they know it just don't lose. They're having a really good run.
Yeah, we'll lose. We got City soon.
I've got one. So let me very quickly count this up. So between Newcastle and Manchester United, there have been 178 competitive matches.
Wow. Okay.
Manchester United, of course, you would expect have won most of them, or more than Newcastle. To the nearest number, how many have Manchester United won? Mad, I'll let you go first.
Out of
178.
So this is all competitions, right?
Yeah, all comps.
Cool. That's a question, Mad.
178. Good guess.
I'm gonna say 115.
115 or 150?
115.
Okay.
It's a good guess. I'm gonna be positive for you, Mad. And I'm gonna go. Oh, we haven't won that many. Oh.
But is this all time? I probably not thought this through.
This is all time.
I'm gonna go 114.
No, it's higher. It's definitely higher than 115, I think, actually, now that I read
So I'm gonna go lower.
So dude's gone 114. So I mean, out of 178 games, you think Manchester United have won 100? Like, you got to bear in mind draws as well.
Yeah, no, that's why I've gone lower.
Okay.
I reckon it's probably
89.
If I had to put a number, I'd put 89. But I've gone 114 just to be safe.
So Newcastle United, out of those 170, whatever I said, have won 46.
Okay.
There have been 41 draws, which means Manchester United have won 91.
Mate, my 98 shouts are sick.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I just went safe with the 114.
But that's going back to like 1895. That was like Newton Heath days as well. That's what
Man United have been good for a lot longer than Newcastle.
Saying that, Newcastle have won the last 3 against United on the bounce. So,
You sure about that? You sure about that?
He's correct.
Yeah. So Newcastle.
What about that fourth game? Their cup final. Oh, the biggest game we ever did.
Yeah, but that since then they've beaten you twice in the Premier League and beaten you in the League Cup.
3-0. I was there. It's a dreadful game.
But yeah, Doop, you are the winner of this week's quiz. Well done.
Well, shockingly, that does bring episode 341 to a close. You can find the links for each of us in the podcast description or by visiting 5starpotential.com, where you can find all of our latest Football Manager content, including Matt's 10 players to retrain in FM24. You snuck that one in. 5-Star Potential is available on...
Sorry, I was going to say we were going to talk about it, but we didn't. We forgot. So yeah,
5-Star Potential is available on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and most other podcast apps and platforms with a new podcast released every single week. Thank you all for listening. There'll be more from us next week. Say goodbye, folks.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
180.